ช่างน่าประหลาดใจผู้ชายคนหนึ่งที่เป็นโรคข้อเข่าเสื่อมที่ต้องนั่งรถเข็นมา2 ปีสามารถปั่นจักรยานรอบหมู่บ้านได้ร่างกายยืดหยุ่นอาการปวดกระดูกสันหลังหายไปหมดแล้วแขนขาไม่ชาหรือขั้นอีกต่อไปเขาไม่ส่งเสียงกระรุ้งกริ้งแล้วข้อต่อเริ่มนุ่มและยืดหยุ่นมากขึ้นราวกับว่าเขาไม่เคยเป็นโรคกระดูกและข้อมาก่อนเขาปวดเมื่อยทั้งตัวทุกวันในหลายปีที่ผ่านมาปวดเมื่อยทั้งข้อเข่าและเท้าแขนขามีอาการชาตลอดเวลาข้อเข่าบวมต้องทานยารักษากระดูกเสื่อมหลายชนิดทำให้เขาต้องไปหาหมอที่มีชื่อเสียงทั่วประเทศไทยหลายครั้งแล้วแต่ไม่ดีขึ้นบังเอิญเขาได้เพื่อนแนะนำเม็ดฟูเขาซื้อ5 หลอดมาใช้ทันทีวันละ2 เม็ดดีมากเลยเพราะว่าภายใน7 วันเขาก็รู้สึกว่าอาการปวดเมื่อยลดลงรู้สึกสบายมากขึ้น
เราเข้าใจคุณดีนะครับว่าอาการปวดข้อเข่าเสื่อมเนี่ยมันทรมานแค่ไหนจะขยับตัวจะเดินแต่ละครั้งเนี่ยมันก็ไม่สะดวกเสียงกระดูกนี่ดังกรับปวดบั้นท้ายปวดข้อปวดเข่าคุณภาพชีวิตก็แย่ลงครับผมกล้าท้าให้คุณเอาไปลองได้เลยแค่7 วันก็กลับมาเดินได้ถ้าคุณอยากหายผมจะมาบอกว่าต้องทำอย่างไรสามารถมั่นใจได้เลยนะครับว่าผลิตภัณฑ์นี้ดีจริงๆเพราะว่าลูกค้าหมื่นรายเนี่ยกลับมาซื้อซ้ำการที่ทานเป็นประจำทุกวันเนี่ยทำให้ชีวิตของเขาดีขึ้นจริงๆเขาอยากจะไปไหนเขาก็ได้ไปเขาอยากจะทำกิจกรรมอะไรเขาก็ได้ทำไม่กลับมาเป็นภาระของลูกหลานต่อ
โรคข้ออักเสบโรคข้อเข่าเสื่อมทำให้เกิดอาการตรึงและปวดในหัวเข่าไหล่หลังกระดูกสันหลังแขนขาหากไม่รักษาโรคก็ค่อยๆแย่ลงทำให้เป็นอัมพาตและพิการเม็ดฟูโบคาไมจากสหพันธ์สาธารณรัฐเยอรมนีพร้อมสารออกฤทธิ์แฮปโปไซส์เพื่อช่วยบรรเทาอาการปวดสร้างใหม่และบำรุงกระดูกอ่อนข้อโดยปกป้องเยื่อหุ้มไขข้อเพิ่มความแข็งแรงและความยืดหยุ่นของข้อต่อชะลอความเสื่อมและปกป้องข้อต่อช่วยให้คุณเคลื่อนไหวได้อย่างคล่องตัวและควบคุมชีวิตของคุณเม็ดฟูโบก็ช่วยบรรเทาอาการปวดสร้างกระดูกอ่อนข้อปกป้องกระดูกและข้อ
เนื่องจากผมใช้ผลิตภัณฑ์เม็ดฟูข้อเข่าเสื่อมโบคากระดูกและข้อของผมเนี่ยกลับมาดีขึ้นเลยครับผมชีวิตก็กลับมาดีขึ้นเช่นกันรู้สึกสดชื่นสุขภาพแข็งแรงกินได้นอนหลับครับโบคาเนี่ยสุดยอดจริงๆครับผมต้องขอบคุณโบคาครับที่ทำให้ผมเนี่ยกลับมาใช้ชีวิตได้ตามปกติอีกครั้งครับมีสินค้าดีๆแบบนี้ผมก็อยากจะแนะนำให้กับคนที่มีอาการแบบเดียวกับผมนะครับได้รู้จักกันมากๆครับผมเพราะว่าการเจ็บปวดจากโรคอาการแบบนี้เป็นระยะเวลานานๆเนี่ยมันจะส่งผลกระทบต่อชีวิตและจิตใจอย่างมากเลยครับหวังว่าเม็ดฟูข้อเข่าเสื่อมโบคาจะนำผลดีมาสู่คนที่มีอาการข้อเข่าเสื่อมเช่นผมนะครับเม็ดฟูข้อเข่าเสื่อมโบคาคือที่1
ถึง 3 เดือนแรกมันก็ค่อยๆดีขึ้นนะคะอาการปวดมันก็น้อยลงเข่ามันก็ไม่ดังก๊อบแก๊บก็เริ่มเดินดีขึ้นแม่เดินไม่โยกไม่เยกพอทานมาเรื่อยๆประมาณ 6-7 เดือนเนี่ยค่ะมันก็ค่อยๆหายไปความตึงก็ไม่มีค่ะก็เดินดีขึ้นแม่ขายของได้ทุกวันยืนตั้งแต่เช้าจนเย็นแม่ก็ยืนได้ไม่ปวดเข่าเลยค่ะ
เหมือนปาฏิหาริย์จริงๆเรื่องจริงเลยอันนี้ไม่ได้โกหกไม่ได้อะไรมาสอบถามคนแถวนี้ได้เลยนะเหมือนคนปกติอะค่ะขึ้นเขาได้ไหว้พระได้ขึ้นเขาผาซ่อนแก้ววัดพระธาตุผาซ่อนแก้วลูกตกใจขึ้นถึงสุดเลยขึ้นไปข้างบนสุดเลยไปถ่ายรูปไปอะไรต่ออะไรลูกยังบอกไม่น่าเชื่อเลยนะแม่ไม่น่าเชื่อว่าแม่จะดีขึ้นขนาดนี้ใครที่เป็นข้อเข่าเสื่อมนะคะทานเลยนะคะเพราะว่าขนาดดิฉันนะคะเป็นทั้งข้อเข่าเสื่อมแล้วก็รุมาตอยด์นะคะลองเลยค่ะไม่ต้องเสียดายตังค์นะคะคุ้มค่าที่สุดเลยค่ะสุขภาพเราดีที่สุดแล้วทานแล้วสุขภาพเราดีเนี่ยโอเค
เหลือเพียง50 ชุดเท่านั้นค่ะกับส่วนลด 50% สำหรับเม็ดฟูโบเคอร์รีบโทรมาที่หมายเลขโทรศัพท์ที่อยู่บนหน้าจอเลยค่ะเพื่อรับข้อเสนอซื้อ3แถม1ซื้อ4แถม2ซื้อ6แถม3
ตอนนี้มีเม็ดฟูโบคาผลิตภัณฑ์พิเศษที่ช่วยให้ผู้ป่วยหายปวดได้เร็วไม่กลับมาเป็นซ้ำและไม่ต้องผ่าตัดอีกด้วยสินค้าได้รับความไว้วางใจจากคนไทยหลายพันคน
เม็ดฟูโบก็เป็นส่วนผสมของสารออกฤทธิ์แฮปโปไซด์และเทคโนโลยีเอนไซม์ค้นคิดโดยนักวิทยาศาสตร์ซึ่งเป็นความหวังอันยิ่งใหญ่ของผู้ที่เป็นโรคข้อกระดูกเสื่อมการวิจัยที่ก้าวล้ำนี้ไม่เพียงแต่มีประสิทธิภาพสูงในการลดอาการปวดลดการอักเสบส่งเสริมการสร้างกระดูกและฟื้นฟูกระดูกอ่อนข้อเท่านั้นแต่ยังช่วยให้ผู้ป่วยคล่องแคล่วเคลื่อนอย่างรวดเร็วเมื่อเคลื่อนไหวและป้องกันการแข็งตัวได้อย่างมีประสิทธิภาพ
คู่นะครับเป็นเวลา1 สัปดาห์ผมรู้สึกว่า อาการมันดีขึ้นนะครับ รู้สึกตรงที่เจ็บมันเบาลงมาก ตอนนี้ข้อต่อของแขนขาเคลื่อนไหวได้ตามปกติดีขึ้นกว่าเดิม กระดูกสันหลังก็เจ็บปวดน้อยลงเคลื่อนไหวดีไม่เหมือนเมื่อก่อนเลยครับ
ไปได้ 10-12 วันอาการปวดเนี่ยมันก็เริ่มหายเดินทางง่ายขึ้นที่สำคัญเราเนี่ยทำงานง่ายขึ้นแล้วก็เร็วขึ้นแล้วก็ไม่ต้องทนทรมาน
หลังจากที่ผมได้ลองใช้เม็ดฟูโบกาแค่5 วันเนี่ยอาการปวดหลังเนี่ยมันลดลงจริงๆครับกลางคืนเนี่ยนอนหลับสบายมากขึ้นไม่ต้องตื่นกลางดึกเหมือนแต่ก่อนแถมยังไม่มีอาการปวดหลังเลยทั้งนี้
ข่าวดีสำหรับผู้ป่วยเป็นโรคข้อเข่าเสื่อมเป็นครั้งแรกที่นักวิทยาศาสตร์เยอรมนีประสบความสำเร็จในการใช้ฮาปาโกไซด์สารออกฤทธิ์ที่พบในต้นโครงเล็บปีศาจเพื่อบรรเทาอาการปวดได้อย่างมีประสิทธิภาพหลังใช้เพียง 5-7 วันป้องกันการเสื่อมสภาพและช่วยให้กระดูกแข็งแรงประสิทธิภาพที่ได้รับการพิสูจน์จากทางสถาบัน RKI ประเทศเยอรมนีช่วยให้ผู้ป่วยลดอาการปวดเคลื่อนไหวได้ง่ายขึ้นและที่สำคัญไม่ต้องผ่าตัดค่ะ
เวลาไปไหนมาไหนเนี่ยจะรู้สึกว่าเราก้าวขาได้ไม่ค่อยดีนะคะไปพบคุณหมอค่ะคุณหมอก็ให้ยามารับประทานนะคะแต่ว่าไม่ดีขึ้นนะคะจนกระทั่งดิฉันได้มาพบดร.เดชานะคะดร.เดชาเนี่ยเป็นผู้ชำนาญเกี่ยวกับการรักษาข้อเข่านะคะแนะนำให้ดิฉันรู้จักโบคาค่ะเป็นเม็ดฟูที่ช่วยรักษาเกี่ยวกับอาการปวดข้อเข่าโดยเฉพาะค่ะดิฉันรับประทานมาแล้ว3 หลอดนะคะบอกได้เลยว่าดีมากค่ะอาการปวดข้อเข่าต่างๆเนี่ยหายไปนะคะเรียกว่าใช้ชีวิตประจำวันได้กลับมาเหมือนปกติเลยเวลาขึ้นลงบันไดเนี่ยสบายมากนะคะเวลาก้มเวลาเงยหรือว่ายืดตัวย่อตัวพวกนี้สบายมากเหมือนสมัยสาวๆเลยค่ะใช้แล้วเนี่ยดีมากเลยรู้สึกว่าอยากจะบอกต่อนะคะโบคานะคะเป็นเม็ดฟูที่ช่วยเสริมสร้างเนื้อเยื่อกระดูกอ่อนแล้วก็ฟื้นฟูเนื้อเยื่อข้อเข่านะคะใช้แล้วเนี่ยจะรู้ว่าเห็นผลค่ะเพราะว่าอาการปวดแป๊บเจ็บแป๊บเวลายืดเวลาเหยียดเวลาก้าวขึ้นลงบันไดพวกนี้ดีขึ้นมากเลยค่ะสำหรับคนที่มีปัญหานะคะอย่าเก็บไว้ค่ะอย่าทนทรมานนะคะแนะนำโบคาเลยค่ะเพราะว่าใช้แล้วดีจริงๆนะคะใช้แล้วเห็นผลค่ะขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ผู้ชมทุกคนคะในการสั่งซื้อเม็ดฟูโบกาของแท้โปรดติดต่อหมายเลขสายด่วนด้านบนหน้าจอเราพร้อมเสมอที่จะช่วยและซัพพอร์ตทุกคนนะคะ
หลังจากที่ทานเม็ดฟูได้10 กว่าวันนะคะตอนนี้ก็ไม่มีอาการปวดแล้วนะคะเข่าทั้ง2 ข้างอันนี้ก็แบบยืดได้สบายๆไม่มีรอยแดงบวมเลยนะคะได้รู้จักตัวเม็ดโบกาเร็วกว่านี้นะคะอาการก็คงจะไม่แย่ขนาดนี้นะคะแต่ว่าตอนนี้รู้จักแล้วก็รู้สึกดีๆรู้สึกดีมากเลยค่ะ
เมื่อก่อนผมรู้สึกผมชอบมันมากผมก็เลยซื้อมาตอนแรก3 หลอดเป็นเม็ดฟูละลายน้ำค่ะผมไม่คิดเลยว่าผลิตภัณฑ์โบกาธรรมดาขวดนี้จะออกฤทธิ์และให้ผลที่รวดเร็วมากผมทำไปประมาณ3 สัปดาห์ผมรู้สึกว่าอาการปวดเข่าปวดข้อเนี่ยมันค่อยๆหายไปต้องขอบคุณโบกามากครับที่ทำให้ผมและครอบครัวได้กลับมามีความสุข
โบคานี่ดีจริงๆเลยค่ะถูกใจมากๆเลยไปลองกันนะคะทุกคน
ดิฉันได้ทำตามคำแนะนำของคุณหมอดื่มวันละ2 เม็ดเช้าเย็นหลังอาหารนะคะไม่น่าเชื่อเลยนะคะผ่านไป3 เดือนแล้วเนี่ยอาการต่างๆนะคะที่เคยปวดข้อปวดเข่าอะไรต่างๆดีขึ้นมากเลยค่ะหายไปเลยไม่รู้สึกปวดเลยเดี๋ยวนี้เดินไปตลาดไปซื้อของเพื่อเอามาทำอาหารที่บ้านเองหรือเดินไปปากซอยสบายมากเลยค่ะไม่รู้สึกอาการปวดอะไรเลยเดินไกลๆได้ดีเลยเพราะว่าโบกาเม็ดฟูนี่เองค่ะ
เพียงแค่1 เม็ดใส่แก้วละลายน้ำและดื่มหลังอาหาร20 นาทีวันละ2 เม็ดจะช่วยขจัดอาการต่างๆเช่นปวดเข่าปวดหลังปวดกระดูกสันหลังชาที่แขนขาผู้ป่วยหลังจากใช้โบคาทุกคนพึงพอใจมากสามารถเดินขึ้นลงบันไดเดินไปตลาดหรือทำงานบ้านได้ตอนนี้ชีวิตของพวกเขาเปลี่ยนไปอย่างสิ้นเชิงหลังจากใช้ผลิตภัณฑ์เพียง 2-3 เดือนมีลูกค้ามากกว่า 500,000 คน เคยใช้และพึงพอใจมากกับเม็ดฟูโบคาคุณสามารถโทรติดต่อสายด่วนเพื่อทราบข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมเกี่ยวกับโปรโมชั่นเพื่อรับคำปรึกษาฟรีจากผู้เชี่ยวชาญ
กระดูกและข้อของเราก็เหมือนมอเตอร์ไซค์และรถยนต์นะคะ หากเราใช้ไป 10 ถึง 15 ปีโดยไม่รับการดูแลเอาใจใส่ มันก็จะพังและต้องทิ้งไปค่ะ แต่ถ้าเรามีวินัยต้องดูแลหลังจากใช้งานแต่ละครั้ง พวกเขาจะได้ทำความสะอาดบำรุงรักษาทาน้ำมันและจาระบีอย่างสม่ำเสมอมันจะอยู่กับเราได้หลายปีนะคะร่างกายของเราก็เหมือนรถยนต์คันนั้นวัยชราก็จะแก่เฒ่าและสึกหรอไปเองนะคะแต่ถ้าเรารักษาตัวเองให้คุณค่ากับสุขภาพตัวเองเราก็ซื้อผลิตภัณฑ์อย่างโบก้ามาดื่มนะคะดูแลมันแล้วมันก็จะเจ็บปวดน้อยลงค่ะมีชีวิตที่มีสุขภาพดีขึ้นเราก็จะรักชีวิตและหงุดหงิดน้อยลงค่ะเราก็ใช้ชีวิตด้วยพลังบวกไม่เป็นภาระลูกหลานในวัยชรา
Christopher Ranch processes about 12 billion cloves of garlic a year, making it the biggest producer in the United States. Workers clean, peel, and pack all of it at this massive warehouse in Gilroy, California.
As you can see, there's not a vampire to be seen.
Garlic ripens once a year and rots fast, so workers have just a few weeks to dig it all up.
When it comes to garlic, we have one shop, and that's all going to be done by hand.
The company is one of the last U.S. garlic producers. Most shut down when cheaper Chinese garlic began flooding the market in the 1990s. So how has Christopher Ranch survived the influx of imported cheap garlic? And how did it help turn what was once considered a niche ingredient into one of the most popular vegetables in the U.S.? Christopher Ranch produces more than half of all garlic grown in the United States. Here, its crops span an area about half the size of Manhattan.
In other words, 1 billion bulbs of garlic.
That's Ken Christopher, grandson of the original Christopher, who gave the ranch its name in 1956, when he first started growing garlic on just 10 acres.
Garlic is an asexual plant. It's essentially a clone of itself year after year. You're going to be guaranteed to have the same flavor profile throughout the decades. And so today we can enjoy the same Italian, bold, zesty flavor that my grandfather first selected 60 years ago.
They plant all of it in November. Bulbs grow underground over the span of 9 months. Once they're ready, farmers have about a month to dig everything up by hand. Machines would rip the garlic's thin layers of skin, making it harder to sell and quicker to rot.
There simply is no automated process. The hand selection process remains the best.
They'll ripen between June and August, so the company hires an extra 3,000 workers for just those few months. American farmers often struggle to recruit people for this work, so the ranch hires workers from Mexico on temporary agricultural visas.
One problem you're going to find with a lot of farmers in this area is labor. How can we possibly get enough people to produce the food that Americans eat?
And it takes hundreds more hands at giant warehouses like these to get produce like garlic store ready.
It's critical to get it into one of these rooms as fast as we can. Did I get it off the railing? Each one of 100 million pounds, wherever they're grown in California, all come home to here.
Workers wheel it all in these 2,000-pound bins. It's 90 degrees in here. Heat loosens up the skins, so these scraps can fall off. Then, the garlic goes onto this conveyor belt.
Because garlic is a root crop, sometimes you're going to have some staining all around the skins, and it's our job to make it give that perfect appearance that you're used to at the market.
Ken runs sales for the ranch and checks that all the bulbs look packaged pretty.
The crew's job is to go through and physically clean every single one of these bulbs.
Every day, workers inspect about 200,000 pounds worth. Then, machines sort the bulbs into 7 groups, depending on their size. The smallest bulbs fall through these tight chains. As the links get bigger, they let in bigger bulbs.
You're going to have the largest bulbs coming here on the left lanes, and as we go to the middle lanes, we'll have the middle-sized bulbs, and on the far right, we're going to have the smallest bulbs that we're going to pack for our customers.
Restaurants usually go for the big ones. Those have larger cloves. They're easier to chop into finer pieces and give chefs more control over how garlicky their food tastes.
Different customers require different kinds of garlic. Some customers want very large bulbs. Some customers want smaller bulbs and sleeves. Some customers want garlic in display trays. Some customers want their garlic in 30-pound boxes.
But only the smoothest, cleanest bulbs will make it into the shipments that leave this warehouse. Christopher Ranch says that's only about 60% of all the garlic they harvest. The rest will get processed in another room, but we'll get back to that. Another crew checks for any lingering dirty skin that might make the bulbs less valuable.
And then essentially the final part is they're just cleaning and then it goes into a box. And this is going to be found at retailers starting next week.
About 5% of the garlic Christopher Ranch produces leaves the country, going to Canada, Japan, Mexico, or New Zealand. All the rest stays in the US.
Our business model split into retail, food service, and industrial.
The company ships these boxes off to major chains like Costco, Kroger, Trader Joe's, and Safeway across all 50 states.
In some of our relationships with companies like Blue Apron, they've mentioned that garlic is the one constant they have in every single box of product they ship out nationwide.
On a typical day, they'll fill 7 semi-trucks with garlic. But things were different when Ken's grandfather started the company in 1956, when he only sold to a produce market in San Francisco.
When he started, he was almost a joke in town. Garlic was very much a niche crop, a niche vegetable.
The kind of garlic that's popular in the US today was brought over by Spanish explorers in the 1500s. But it wasn't until Italian immigrants came to California in the late 1800s that the crop found its home in Gilroy. Well into the 1950s, it was mostly popular among immigrant communities that faced discrimination. Only niche markets carried the vegetable, and it stayed out of the mainstream for decades. Things started to change in the late 80s, when American scientists confirmed the ingredient was really good for you. It contains a natural antibiotic called allicin, which can help prevent blood clots. Garlic became newsworthy, and its popularity continued to grow.
So you take a whole garlic head like that, and you know, it takes a long time to take each clove off and peel it.
America's gotten a whole lot more diverse. So as America's cultural palates become more diverse, garlic's moved from being very side plate to being center plate.
In the 1990s, garlic finally became one of the most produced crops in America. The only problem was that the white skins stain easily, so a lot of it was hard to sell because Americans wouldn't buy bulbs that didn't look perfect. That's where Ken's grandfather Don saw an opportunity.
Because garlic is so time and labor intensive to grow, we want to find a home for every single pound.
Christopher Ranch was the first company in America to sell the crop peeled. They invented this machine that could peel hundreds of cloves in minutes and produce garlic Americans were willing to pay 50% more for. It gave the ranch an edge over its American competitors. Within the first few years, peeled garlic accounted for 10% of Christopher Ranch's revenue. Today, their machines peel more than 1 million pounds of garlic every week. First, the bruised up bulbs go into these giant drums called crackers, which use rubber rollers to break them down into cloves. Then, a 60-person crew sorts them again, chucking out the completely rotten ones. And the pretty guys? They go into a special room. Giant machines portion the cloves into cups and blast them with compressed air. Most peelers do that at around 116 pounds per square inch. That's about 3 to 4 times the air pressure of a car tire. Machines whip the garlic around at 1,200 revolutions per minute, and those stubborn shells fly right off. They upgrade their machines every few years. Their newest one can peel 100,000 pounds of garlic in an 8-hour shift.
These computers can identify which cloves are going to be okay for our final pack. They're going to identify where the gross defects are. They're going to identify sunburn. And using automation, we can fire small streams of air, kick out the bad cloves, and let the good ones go by. In effect, saving a whole lot on labor costs.
Today, peeled garlic accounts for 40% of the company's revenue. But Ken says they've constantly looked for new ways to keep up with growing competition from China. The US started to import cheap garlic from China shortly after the Cold War. But Chinese bulbs sold for almost 50% less than American ones. The US government accused Chinese producers of trying to gain a monopoly by selling garlic for less than what it takes to grow it, also known as dumping. By the mid-90s, Christopher Ranch sales had fallen by half, and the company started laying off workers. The US government tried to control it with anti-dumping duties in 1994. But Chinese imports continued, and by 2004, the US was importing over half of the garlic it consumed. Between 2001 and 2005, Christopher Ranch had slashed the land it farmed by 40%. And during this period, the US garlic industry was losing an estimated $600 million to Chinese imports. Meanwhile, in China, garlic was beating gold stocks, becoming the country's most lucrative asset.
Before the 1990s, nearly all the garlic consumed in America was grown in America. There used to be 12 commercial garlic growers in the country. Now we're down to 3.
And Ken often spoke about it, even on TV, as seen in this clip.
He's just back from Washington, D.C., where he lobbied to help win a new 10% tariff on Chinese garlic.
One of the hardest things I've ever done was actually going to D.C. and testifying and offering evidence that the Chinese continue to impact and negatively hurt the domestic garlic industry.
In 2018, then U.S. President Donald Trump imposed a 10% tariff on garlic coming from China. That tariff rose to 25% in 2019, and President Biden has kept them in place. In the past decade, China imports dropped overall, but the country remains America's main foreign supplier.
Tariffs are applied before it even enters the country, so we found that they were incredibly effective.
Keeping the company profitable has required constant innovation, though. Over the years, they've launched dozens of new products that Americans would pay more for, like minced, crushed, pickled, or chopped garlic.
We've really had to upgrade our skill set in that respect. You're not always going to get perfect bulbs like the one you see here. We try to use every piece that we can.
And this facility churns out 100,000 pounds of roasted garlic every week, accounting for 5% of the company's sales.
We're going to have a 2-sided convection oven, heat up the garlic to about 250 degrees. You can kind of see through a layer of garlic.
Then they put it on these fans for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't think we were going. It goes into this cooler next.
It gets the temperature down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which helps make the garlic shelf stable and ready to ship across the country. They pack some of it into these 30-pound boxes and send it off to their warehouse to store. Their robots can portion out and seal up to 500 packages every hour. In a single day, Christopher Ranch cranks out about 200,000 pounds of garlic. They also sell garlic skins to local farmers as animal feed.
Some of our garlic may not be perfect for restaurants, and so we're going to find a new home for it.
But Ken says, to stay competitive, they also had to sell Chinese garlic, but not under the Christopher Ranch name. And the packaging doesn't say grown in California, like these boxes do.
If you want to zoom on this is kind of the most important.
In 2018, a Netflix documentary, Rotten, accused the company of selling Chinese garlic peeled by prisoners under its own name. Christopher Ranch has denied those allegations.
They made a critical mistake. This is a streaming and living thing that continues to impact our brand and our business. We are an ethical company. We're a company that strives to be the best, and we only work with suppliers that bring it into this country and that have the same certifications and documentations that we'd expect of our garlic.
Today, Chinese garlic accounts for about 8 to 10% of the company's revenue. But American garlic is still the choice of all chefs who participate in the California Garlic Festival, one of the biggest garlic fairs in the U.S.
Ooh, garlic.
Julie Linesberg has been the head chef of the event since 2022. She bought 300 pounds of garlic from Christopher Ranch to prepare food for 3 days.
California garlic is a bit sweeter. When you flip it over, if you see that brown, hairy bottom, you know it's out of our ground, our beautiful soil. If it's nice and bleached and flat, you know it came from somewhere else very, very far away.
Julie runs a team of 40 kitchen staff at the official festival tent.
Let's open it all the way. So when they get here, it's a fast process.
She got here at 6:30 in the morning to prep before thousands of festival goers start arriving at noon.
No frying, we have no customers. Everything's got to be fresh, fresh, fresh.
All day, they'll prepare nothing but the two signature dishes created by Julie herself, garlic fries and garlic bread. It may sound simple, but she's thought of every detail carefully.
Our special concoction, and then they will put parm and or bacon.
Julie uses 200 pounds of Parmesan, imported only from Italy.
Make sure we're getting some of this from the bottom, okay?
How much garlic is in that?
A lot? Can I say a lot? So this is where the garlic bread happens. We're toasting it on a charbroiler.
In 3 days, they go through about 600 loaves of soft French bread from a local bakery and 300 pounds of butter.
Once it gets nice and toasty, it comes over here and it gets dipped in this special concoction that smells just a little bit like garlic. It's garlic and butter and some other things.
She uses pre-minced garlic she buys from Christopher Ranch as a base and adds some fresh ground on top.
And then we wrap it, and here's an order of garlic bread. Smell-o-vision, I don't know if the camera captures that, but. Then we'll run it by the boss, make sure it's the right size for him.
Every new batch needs to be approved by Tony Nocetti, the organizer of the festival.
Little sport.
Tony's in charge of the garlic pesto pasta, a recipe he learned from his Italian grandmother.
This ain't McDonald's here. This is Nona stuff back at the ranch in the old days, you know? So I enjoy cooking, and that way I get to eat it.
Tony farms walnuts, but everyone here knows him as the guy who saved the Garlic Festival in California.
We had heard a few years ago that the Garlic Festival was going to close, and it's been the longest running festival here in California. Well, that's when I stepped in and said, we're going to continue to keep the Garlic Festival alive.
The city of Gilroy used to run the largest garlic festival, but decided to drop it in 2022. 3 years earlier, a mass shooting at the festival caused insurance rates to spike, and the COVID-19 pandemic slashed turnout in 2020, a year after that.
It was a legacy that we thought we couldn't let go. I mean, it's just part of our life cycle here in California, and we believe in local business, local products. That's very important, keeping our local economies going.
Though this is technically a different festival, Tony invested more than $500,000 out of his own pocket to continue the tradition near its former home in Gilroy.
It's important for agriculture, the community, the people. There's so many people involved in agriculture throughout California and throughout the world. Julie, wave to the camera. Without her, this wouldn't go. She gives me orders, and I think I'm the boss now. She's the boss in the kitchen.
This year, nearly 16,000 people attended the festival, more than double the attendance in 2023.
Cali Garlic Alley is open for business. Follow the smell, garlic fries, garlic bread, and how about some garlic pasta? Garlic, garlic, garlic.
That's how I grew up as in a Filipino family. My mom cooks everything with garlic, so.
And it keeps the vampires away.
Yeah.
About 150 vendors from all over the state signed up, using California garlic on chicken.
All right, here's the magic. More garlic.
Pork.
Our famous pork belly.
And even honey and butter.
Would you guys like to try a free sample?
We like it.
It would be a sad, sad place to be without garlic. Yes, Mama. Oh, I'm adding it right now.
One vendor here even puts garlic in ice cream.
Ice cream, garlic ice cream.
It's different. Yeah. He's Italian, so they eat a lot of garlic. And in my culture, which is Cambodian, we eat a lot of garlic too. But to infuse it into an ice cream, it's amazing. I love it. I'm not sure.
Okay. But some festival goers told us it wasn't just about buying local.
It's amazing. It has healing properties. It's very good for your body. It acts like an antibiotic.
I garlic in the morning, in the afternoon. So I have to be careful when I'm engaging with people. Because they'll smell the garlic before they see me.
Ken says these are the customers who will keep the business going.
We're finding that Americans want the safest and healthiest product for them and their family.
Christopher Ranch has its own tent here, selling minced, peeled, and organic bulbs. The company used to supply all the garlic for the original festival back in Gilroy, since co-founding it in 1979. Nowadays, other producers participate too, but Ken says organic only recently became a trend here.
About 10 years ago, we started really investing in our organic program, and since then we've scaled up.
They started off with about 1 million pounds of organic garlic, which was grown without pesticides, fertilizers, or hormones. That often means producing it takes more work, and the garlic has a greater chance at rotting, which is part of what makes organic more expensive. But Americans have been buying more of it anyway. Today, Christopher Ranch grows 15 million pounds of organic garlic, about 20% of its annual crop.
We found that to be our best profit margin center. As inflation goes up, as the cost of labor goes up, as we have more scarcity for land and water, really pivoting towards organics and a more high-end heirloom program is going to be the path forward.
As for the produce Christopher Ranch doesn't sell during the harvest season,
each one of the rooms behind me, we're going to store millions of pounds of garlic from our harvest. And as you can see, we have garlic that was harvested at the end of June in 2023. So last week, we just opened up the room behind me, and the garlic is every good as you could hope for. The garlic you see here essentially goes to sleep for 12 months.
They can pull garlic from here all year.
You can remove the oxygen from the room, lower the temperature, and keep your product safe.
But Ken says farming is always a gamble. Over the past decade, droughts in California have made it harder to grow in the area. And Silicon Valley is expanding, making land a lot more expensive than it used to be. Meanwhile, America's appetite for garlic is still growing. The country consumed over $4.5 billion worth in 2023. And Ken says, regardless of how or where his ranch harvests it, he's confident homegrown garlic will never go away.
How important is garlic to your family?
Garlic means nothing to no. Garlic is a part of our DNA. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. It's an inspiration for our whole family.
Do it now, let's go. Your backpack that's on the table. Next, you're gonna open your box up, open it up. Hang it on your box, there's a lock on it, it has a chain on it. You're gonna wear it like a necklace, just put it on, let's go.
I am Pedro Como, and tonight I'm going to be going through and explaining every item that new recruits receive here tonight in their Diddy box. Great Lakes RTC Night of Arrival. Diddy is going to be the first issue of uniform items that new recruits receive once they come here to Great Lakes RTC for basic training. It's going to be uniform items, hygiene products, shoes, anything that they might need here, basic necessities that they need throughout boot camp.
So what was your memory of Diddy issue? What was it like when you went through it?
For me personally, it was very shocking because I've never had to move this fast, like getting dressed and putting on all these different outer garments and weathers and covers and hats and things like that. Well, first thing we'll start with the socks. They're Pro Feet, moisture socks, keep your feet from sweating. Just cotton athletic socks, yes.
Do you get any more like thicker socks since it does get real cold here in the Chicago area?
No, they just able to put 2 pair on if it gets too cold. The next item will be shoes. They get brand new pair of shoes so that everyone have a similar brand shoes. They use these shoes doing PT sessions, doing outside runs, inside runs at Freedom Hall. So now they have an option of wearing tennis shoes throughout boot camp. These are SAS running shoes, but we have like 3 or 4 different options. Next, we're gonna go in what's called the knit bag. The knit bag is where we collect the laundry, but for now we're holding all the items that they're gonna be issued here at night of arrival. Inside the large knit bag, we have sweats. We call them Smurfs here at Great Lakes RTC Boot Camp. And it's basically just a sweatsuit, top and bottom. Your Smurfs is just a funny nickname because they all look like little Smurfs walking around base. All right, next here we have PT shorts. These are what they use when they go to Freedom Hall to do workouts, when they do the little exercise in-house. They're just basic shorts with little pockets on it. The ID card holder that's on the inside here. The way they can put their little ID in there when they're wearing them. They don't have to have a whole wallet or carry in their hand or anything like that. They also use these when they go and do the initial swim.
Really?
Yes.
They're not like a bathing suit or like swim trunks.
No. Next item would be the yellow PT shirt. These shirts are used for PT with the PT shorts that we received earlier. Just a cotton material with the navy on the front left, big navy in the front back. The collar's not too tight to me personally. I know they just did an upgrade, so they got a new shipment in. I don't know if it's just the fabric or the material that they use or if they switched it, but I have not had any issues with the shirts myself personally. Next, we have the brown t-shirts, the Coyote Brown. These here are going to be the one that you wear under your Type 3, which is the uniform that I'm wearing now. It's a cotton t-shirt and you just wear it under your Type 3s. Next here we have the skivvies, known as underwear, and they're just a basic plain white underwear for the male and female recruits to wear. Later on in boot camp, you are able to buy regular boxers if you would like, but these are like just standard issued boxers briefs that every recruit gets once they come through boot camp.
Are these comfortable? Are these like, they look kind of like what my dad wore in like 1983.
Boot camp is temporary. It's only the basic things that you need. So if you can deal with these for 2 to 3 months and then go about your life and get whichever ones you want, these are like the bare minimum that you need.
How many pairs of skivvies do you get?
You get 8 pair. The laundry gets done by the recruits themselves. They have what's called a laundry crew. They collect all the uniform items that they wear throughout the day and they turn it into the laundry crew. Laundry crew have these bags and they just take them up. After they do hygiene, they do laundry in-house, then they pass it back out later on in the nighttime. Now here is the large white knit bag that I was telling you about earlier. You're gonna stencil this also, and this is also where you put your dirty laundry once you get to the ship. So you're issued it here, and you can, once again, you're gonna put your name on it, and all your dirty laundry will just go inside. It opens up like a little laundry bag. We have shower shoes. The shower shoes are used for when they're going and take a shower, hygiene. They're just little shower shoes, so they can go from their rack to the shower and then back, and then they can change into their socks and their shoes. Next, we have the backpack. The backpack is issued because they're going to have multiple items they need to carry. Up next, we have the hydration tool, your water bottle, and pretty much you're just going to put your name on it, and then you're going to carry this around everywhere you go, whenever you leave. That way you're able to hydrate as required.
Why is hydration such a big deal?
It's a big deal because we do a lot of PT. Even though it's wintertime, your body still needs to hydrate. A lot of people think just because it's wintertime, I'm not sweating, that I'm not losing water, but you actually are losing just as much as you do in the summer. They have the electrolytes and the Pedialyte for muscle recovery to help you with the soreness, and you're able to drink that also inside of here. Next item we have here is going to be the glow belt. Each recruit is issued a glow belt. That way once they're out by themselves and they're not with the division, they're able to be identified. All it is it goes around your backpack, or if you don't have your backpack with you, it goes around your waist. And it's just like a little belt so you can be identified when you're walking throughout the streets. Next here we have the garment bag. The garment bag is used to put your dress uniforms in. That way they don't get dirty or any stains or anything like that on it. When you're traveling, when you're walking around, when you're going from different commands, and it just unzips. You put your little hangers in there and your dress uniforms go in. You zip it up and then you're able to hang it up to prevent them from getting dirty or dust or anything like that on them.
They don't get their dress uniforms issued tonight, do they?
No, they do that in week 2. Next here we have the Blue Jackets manual. It's all the important dates in history of the United States Navy, and it's for them to read so they can study and have a basic knowledge of what happened with the recruits and sailors before them.
Are there like key aspects of that book that every recruit needs to learn fast?
Yes, there is, but there's also another book that they are going to be issued when they take their first test. But this here goes more in depth. The one that they're going to get is specifically just for here.
Is this something that recruits keep with them after they leave? Or?
Yes, me personally, I still have mine. I still have my stamp here with my name on it, division number. I still have my whole sea bag with everything that I was issued when I left here.
Why do you keep this book? Why do you keep that stuff?
It's history. I want to be able to say, hey, I had all these things, because I see that things are changing. They don't have things that we had, and we don't have things that the ones before us had. So I like to keep part of history with me. Next, we have here the Ditty box with a lot more items in it. The first one here is a small white knit bag, and on the inside of this small white knit bag, we have pens and Sharpies. The pens are going to be standard recruit ballpoint pens, and they're just used for them to fill out all their paperwork, all the information, write down whatever they need to write. Here we have Sharpies. The Sharpies are used to fill out their name on certain items. Later on, when they get their box, they're going to put their name and things on the box, so they're going to use a Sharpie also. Also inside of this bag, you have a plastic bag with a key. They're going to be issued a standard master lock for their personal lock, their personal drawer, and they're just going to be able to lock it up and carry the key around. The spare key will be kept with the RDCs just in case they lose the one that they're issued that they keep up with throughout boot camp. This lock is used to keep all their valuables, their personal stuff, their wallets, their IDs, their cash, their money, anything that has value. Next, we have the sea bag. The sea bag is where they're going to put every single item that they're issued tonight here, with the exception of their backpack, and they're just able to put it inside of here. And it also has a spot for their lock to go on here so no one can get inside and mess with their valuables or they lose anything. It has straps here, and they just put them on just like a regular backpack.
Is that waterproof?
Yes, it has a little flap in here on the inside, so when you go in and close it, you can put this over the top so the water doesn't get on the inside also. Next, we have the covers, recruit ball caps. The first one here is going to be the standard Navy recruit ball cap. This is going to be the one that they're going to wear around. Unless it's inclement weather, then they're going to get the watch cap, which they're going to wear in cold weather. But this one here is the one that they're going to wear anytime they exit a building. The next one here would be the Navy ball cap. This is going to be the one that they're going to get emotional for once they get to graduation and they get to actually wear the one that says that they're actually a U.S. Navy sailor.
When do they get that Navy ball?
So they have to complete what's called battle station. It's very intense. It's all night. They just pretty much do everything that they were taught in the 8+ weeks, and they have to do it all within 24 hours. And they have to go through and complete every single station in order to become a U.S. sailor. And that's when they get to actually put this one on.
What did that make you feel like to wear that finally after going through all that at boot camp?
Putting on the Navy cap meant that I was part of a bigger force, part of something that was bigger than myself. Just being able to say, hey, the RDCs that trained me, taught me, I'm able to say, hey, I'm part of the U.S. Navy just like you are now.
Do a lot of sailors get emotional when they
Yes,
that?
Absolutely. A lot of sailors, once they're able to put these on, a lot of them lose their voice because they're crying, they're tear-eyed, their eyes are all red. Like I say, it's a big moment for a lot of people. Next, here we have a shoe shine kit. Inside this shoe shine kit is going to be all the items that you need to shine your dress shoes and also your drill boots you're going to be issued at a later date also. It just has the shoe shine polish, the brushes, everything that you need to make your shoes nice and shiny for your inspections or just walking around base.
And you get taught how to shine your shoes? Or do you come in expecting to know how to do it with all these tools and materials?
A lot of the recruits, once they come in, a lot of them already know because they look it up on YouTube and things like that. But RDCs, at a certain point in time, they also do like mentoring and they teach the recruits how to shine boots on, give them little tips and pointers on how to actually make it look better. Next here, inside another small white knit bag, the first item is going to be a stamp kit. The stamp kit is going to be used for them to put their name on it. It has little letters. They're just going to put their last name on here with the little letters that are provided. Then they're going to put their division number down here in the center. And then they're able to stamp every single item that has a spot for them to stamp it. And that way they can keep up with their stuff, identify their stuff when they're doing laundry, or just in case anything gets mixed up while they're doing whatever. Also inside of this bag, you have a sewing kit, just a basic sewing kit, so in just in case one of your buttons pop off, you can put the button back on. You don't have to send it out anywhere and get it done, so you can do sewing jobs on the spot. And this one here, we have the shoelaces. The shoelaces here are going to be used to tie up some of the items that you're going to be issued later on in boot camp. We fold it a certain way, we put the shoelaces on there and tie it the way it doesn't come unfolded. The next item is chapstick. We have chapstick because you need to keep your lips moisturized from all the water you're going to be drinking. That way your lips are not getting crusted and they're not bleeding. You have to go to medical and have to be set back in training also. You also have here floss for your hygiene, your personal hygiene. Brush your teeth, wash your face, shower, hygiene, floss your teeth. The way you're taking care of your personal hygiene. Next we have fingernail clippers. You have fingernail clippers for one reason, because of initial swim. You're required to cut your fingernails to a certain length, so when you jump in the pool, you don't scratch up any of the instructors or any other recruit while you're in the pool. Also, the Navy has a standard of how short you should have your fingernails. That way you can keep your and maintain your fingernails to a certain length. Inside the next small knit bag, we have laundry detergent so that they can wash all the uniform items that they're issued. Each recruit is issued one bag, and they just collect them all at one time and wash all the stuff together. And this is how they get their stuff washed nice and clean. Next here we have a towel. This towel here is for them to dry off once they get out of the shower. Just a plain white basic towel. They're also going to put their name on it because they're going to turn them in so that they can be sent out to the next to be washed. Next here we have in this little knit bag, we have their stationery stuff, papers, envelopes, stamps, the way that they can write letters home, study material, inside the little checkpoint notebook here for inspections, that way that they can have like little cheat sheets. We also, like I say, we have envelopes here. And we have a notepad here so they can write notes and letters and stuff home to their family members and loved ones. The last knit bag we have here, we have 2 towels for them to bathe with when they get in the shower for hygiene. 2 little blue washcloth towels. Wash their face in the morning, whatever. We have lotion because of the windy weather, the bad weather. Stay moist, keep your skin nice and moisturized. So we have razors, so that every recruit can shave every single day. We also have shaving cream, so they can use shaving cream so their face doesn't get bumped up. They don't have razor bumps or anything like that, so we give them shaving cream so they can shave their face. Here we have body wash. The body wash is so that they can, once again, hygiene. Once a day they're required to hygiene. When they go to the pool, they hygiene at the pool, and this is the basic soap that they get so they can do their hygiene. Next here we have shampoo. It's shampoo so that they can wash their hair. Like I say, they're going to go to the pool, so when they come back and they want to get the chlorine out the hair, they just have shampoo to wash it. Next, we have deodorant. The deodorant is so that they can put on after they hygiene, and they're not, once they get done with PT, they're not all sweaty and stinky, so that they can all be around each other. We also have toothpaste, basic toothpaste, so they can, in the morning, whenever they need to, go and brush their teeth. We also have toothbrushes in the bag. You have 2 toothbrushes, that way you can change out throughout boot camp. And they're just there so recruits can wake up in the morning, brush their teeth, before bedtime, brush their teeth, do it whenever they need to. After they do hygiene, they do laundry in-house, then they pass it back out later on in the nighttime. The last item inside this bag is a toothbrush holder. Toothbrush holder is just so that they can put their toothbrush inside of this little plastic tube. That way it's not exposed and getting dirty and getting other dirty items on the toothbrush. Keep it clean.
So this is all free, right? Like they don't have to pay for this, right?
They don't physically pay here. It's taken out of their first check and then eventually it's put back in their check so that they don't have to actually pay for it. These are all the items that they're issued in their ditty box on the first night here at Great Lakes RTC. This is everything they're going to need, the basic necessities to begin their journey at RTC.
From the miners who suck rare metals off the seafloor, to the divers working in America's sea sponge capital, we met people around the world who rely on the sea for their livelihoods.
there could be billions of tons of valuable nodules in the ocean. A Canadian startup called the Metals Company could be the first to cash in. And on this test run, it scooped up the world's biggest haul yet. You're looking at a cargo hold full of clumps of metal that formed over millions of years.
This is history. I've never stood in this. No one has. No one.
The CEO says deep sea mining does less damage than mining on land, though no one really knows for sure yet.
Should we be going to dig up our rainforest to get these metals, or should we be going to this abyssal zone to pick up rocks?
But as the company toasts to a successful pilot mission, environmental activists say deep sea mining is not worth the risks.
We call on you to stop plundering the sea floor.
They say they have leaked video of sediment dumping that proves their point.
Keep it in the ground, just keep it in the ground.
Hundreds of experts have called for a pause on this kind of mining until one of the world's most mysterious ecosystems can be studied further.
Please do the science before you go in and destroy.
Can vacuuming billions of rocks from the deep sea really help power a switch to renewable energy? And is this kind of mining actually any better than mining on land? We went aboard the Hidden Gem to see what mining the deep sea really looks like. These rocks are called polymetallic nodules. If you cut one in half, the inside is kind of like a jawbreaker candy. Each one begins with a fragment, like a shark tooth or shell. Over millions of years, metal particles from the water and sediment build up. A layer just a few millimeters thick can take 1 million years to form. Nodules are found in flat, soft parts of the deep ocean around the world. One of the most promising nodule fields is in the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, a stretch of Pacific Ocean floor about as wide as the continental United States. Nearly 20 companies and countries are racing to launch the deep sea mining industry here. Much of it is reserved for developing nations, so the Metals Company partnered with 3 Pacific Island countries to be able to explore their plots.
How are you? Jared, nice to meet you.
Gerard Barron is on a decade-long quest to mine the deep. His last venture ran out of money.
I wanted to do something that was near impossible. You know, I was pretty sure that if I didn't do this, then it may not move forward, and that would be a travesty.
He's the CEO of the Metals Company, which in November finished a 10-week trial run, collecting nodules from the deep.
Today marks one of the most important proof points. The technology is available to collect these rocks at a commercial scale.
Here's how it works. The ship lowers a collector vehicle into the water. This prototype weighs 90 tons and is about the size of a minibus.
Copy.
Operators drive the collector remotely from inside this control room.
Yep, nodules.
Each vehicle has 4 nozzles and sensors that adjust their positions.
They hover just above the seabed, and the nodules that are laying there are sucked into the nozzle. They work kind of like a vacuum cleaner.
The machine also collects the top few centimeters of mud. Internal pumps separate that from the rocks and shoot some of the sediment back out. Next, air bubbles push rocks, mud, and seawater up a tube that can extend up to 2.5 miles. After about 12 minutes, the slurry reaches the surface. A whirlpool uses gravity to separate the nodules from water and sediment. The Hidden Gem was originally built to drill for oil. The Metals Company and its engineering partner called Allseas retrofitted it to collect and store nodules. The pile in this hold is the expedition's harvest. The company says it's 3,000 metric tons.
This is the first time a commercial collection of this scale has ever been done.
Many rocks break apart on their way up to the ship.
They are quite brittle, but still the product is very valuable for extraction of nickel, cobalt, copper, and manganese.
Most of the nodules will stay in storage until the company scales up. The metals company's ultimate plan is to build processing centers at ports that will melt and refine the rocks into separate streams of useful metals. The company wants those facilities to be powered on renewable energy and eventually plans to recycle battery metals as well. But first, it needs permission from the International Seabed Authority to scale up mining. Some have criticized that process, saying approval to explore mining in the first place has been rushed and secretive. But the CEO says this mission will provide insights about mining that you can only get by mining.
If you're going to move an industry from an idea into commercial production, you need to do this. All of this data is going to be so important as we build a picture and prepare our finalized environmental impact study.
Researchers hired by the metals company sail alongside the mining ship in this science vessel. They're taking samples before and after harvesting to see how kicking up clouds of sediment or creating lots of noise affects the deep sea environment.
I sometimes hear our critics say, but how can we trust the science if you're paying for it? I say to them, well, who's going to pay for it? If I'm not going to pay for it, I'm sure you're not either.
The company's environmental impact statement based on this mission is expected in the second half of 2023. And one of the main questions is what to do with the water and sediment sucked up with the nodules. The metals company is still testing out the right depth to minimize the impact of sediment clouds, but estimates it's below 1,200 meters. If it's closer to the surface, it can block sunlight to sea life below and spread to a wider area. Activist groups shared these video clips with Insider. They say it shows the hidden gem spilling wastewater onto the surface. The metals company responded with their own video, saying it was a temporary overflow from the whirlpool, which it says ran over the deck and out of these pipes. In an email, the company said the event did not have the potential to cause harm. Insider could not verify whether the videos show the same event. Experts told us loose sediment could impact sea life down below.
These are like the most clear waters probably on the planet. So suddenly dumping a lot of sediment in there that the animals are not used to probably will have some impact. So we actually don't really know how much they can withstand.
Okay, and how many meters are you behind the collector?
24 meters.
A promotional video from the metals company calls this mining area
a vast underwater desert.
But even deserts have life in them, and this stretch of seafloor does too. Many of the species in the dark, high-pressure habitat haven't been found anywhere else on Earth. Recent expeditions have found a never-before-seen octopus, a swarm of eels eating bait, plus sea cucumbers, fish, and stuff we didn't even have a name for yet. Like this thing with nearly 7-foot-long tentacles. It's attached to a sponge stalk, which is stuck on a nodule. That's a key detail. The rocks seem to give some creatures on the soft seafloor something to hold on to. So no matter how careful the miners are not to stir up sand, removing nodules would take away key habitat and likely kill any animals attached to them.
We can't really predict the scale of species extinctions that would come from that much mining, but there's reason to think it could be significant.
We don't actually know enough yet to understand all these impacts and therefore the costs.
What we do know is that mining metals on land can have devastating effects. The cobalt rush in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has been linked to human rights abuses, including the use of child labor. In Indonesia and the Philippines, nickel mining operations led to the deforestation of tropical areas. But some mines are managed better than others.
People promoting deep sea mining often argue that all land-based mining is inherently badly managed. And that's not true. There are certainly many cases where it is, but there are certainly many cases where it's not.
Ores mined on land also leave behind lots of leftovers, called tailings. These can leach dangerous pollution into water and soil if not disposed of properly. The CEO believes seafloor mining solves that waste issue and has other benefits too.
We generate zero waste and zero tailings. We don't have the risk of any child labor. We can commercially pick up these rocks and help stop some of the terrible deforestation of our most biodiverse habitats on land.
That would mean replacing some land-based mining with deep-sea mining. But experts say there's no evidence land-based mining would go away or even decline if we mine the seafloor.
You'll just end up with a situation that you are going to have increased ecological harm on land and then at sea as well.
Hidden gem, hidden gem, hidden gem.
On November 16th, a Greenpeace campaigner radioed the mining ship at sea to tell the crew his concerns.
Deep sea mining is an imminent threat to the ocean and the vast array of wondrous marine life.
The activist says the environmental benefits the company touts are just marketing spin.
The argument that we need to look for these minerals and metals to aid the green energy transition is pure greenwash. We're not talking about reducing the overall amount of mining. We're talking about already wealthy people looking for a new gold rush.
Ultimately, experts say mining always has trade-offs, no matter where you do it.
There's no question that deep-sea mining would have major environmental impacts, but whether those are acceptable trade-offs is a decision society has to make.
Experts told Insider the best way to make that decision is by starting small.
To start with one mining operation and monitor it very well for at least 10 years. And my personal view is that probably it could sustain one mining operation without having major regional loss of ecosystem services and biodiversity. But people are not talking about one mining operation.
Right now, 22 companies and governments have contracts to explore deep-sea mining in international waters. The metals company says it could begin full-scale operations as soon as 2025. To shift away from fossil fuels, energy experts say we need metals for batteries, solar panels, and wind turbines now.
I don't think deep-sea mining would ever be able to be a substantial producer. So the question is that niche, that boutique sort of fraction of the market, is it worth the risk?
The International Energy Agency says that to avoid the worst effects of climate change in coming decades, the world needs to mine at least 4 times as many metals as it does now. Nodules could help with that, but we'll still need a lot of metals from land and a lot more recycling.
By some estimates, about 70% of the natural sea sponges collected globally come from this stretch of Florida's coastline. Generations of residents, many Greek, have built their lives around this foamy sea creature.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Sponge divers here have harvested these animals, yes, they're animals, since the 1900s. But the industry has been struggling recently. Increasingly frequent hurricanes have prevented fishermen from heading out to sea. Some of those storms even killed the sponges. And high fuel costs over the last year have turned some away from working in the industry at all. But sponge diving has faced challenges in the past and has bounced back before. Sponge sales still bring in a couple